Hi everyone, it's Ash from FPL Hints here with my final team selection ahead of the first leg of the playoffs in UCL Fantasy. As always, if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. Your support means a lot to me. So, quick check in with what the team looks like on the previous draft, some other considerations that I've factored in, and I'll show you what those final tweaks are before I confirm my team ahead of the deadline. And of course, barring any exceptional circumstances or late team news, this is more or less the locked in team that I'm going to show and confirm later in the video. So the team you can see on screen there right now is what the state of play was with the uh, overall draft with the tinkering that I did. I think Dembele as the first captain makes perfect sense. Sensational form. I think the kind of form he's got at club level right now is something that really is unprecedented. So against Brest makes perfect sense to give him a go. And if all goes wrong, got Harry Kane the day after. What I'm looking for essentially is having a template team, but at the same time, want a few differentials as well. In terms of the additional consideration, so just credit to the UCL underscore fantasy account on X. This is just contextualizing the most picked players. So you can see Haaland at 38%, very popular pick. Understandable with the form that he's been in of late, considering the blip that he had. Got Harry Kane, 31%. Surprised Kane isn't considerably higher, considering the opposition that Bayern have. Hakimi, been an absolute rock in UCL Fantasy this season, 30%. Then you got Mbappe. Rudiger surprised at 25%, considering it's Man City. I can't really foresee any clean sheets in either of those legs. And Musiala, 24%. Hopefully, no managed minutes this time around. Gyökeres, whose form has kind of dipped in some ways in UCL Fantasy, but 23%. And you got Bellingham, who's really come to the fore of late at 22%. And interestingly enough, Vinicius Junior, I know he was suspended a previous match, if I'm not mistaken, but he's really got some great form in UCL Fantasy when he started this season. Then you got Elise, surprisingly, at 16%, and Cabell, the Dortmund goalkeeper, at 16%. And then in terms of clean sheets from the UCL underscore fantasy account, we can see that PSG are most likeliest to keep one at 42%. So a double up for PSG assets could make sense in defence for those that are considering that pathway. Juve, 40%, albeit the uh, defensive form hasn't been great for them as a whole in the league phase in UCL Fantasy this season. Bayern Munich at 39%. Atalanta, I know that the main goalkeeper, who I'll come on to in a moment, Konoseki, is actually unavailable for the match. 32% might probably be a bit too generous there. Sporting, I think that's a bit generous at 29%, considering I don't think they've kept any clean sheets in UCL this season. And you've got AC Milan, who are lower than Sporting. I know AC Milan's defensive record hasn't been that great this season. Then you got Monaco, Feyenoord, Man City, and then that is what it's looking at in terms of the clean sheets at the state of play at the time of recording. So on to my transfers now. So I mentioned Karnaseki is suspended, so I will be getting rid of him. Schlotterbeck gave me a bit of a scare because I noticed he wasn't actually playing over the weekend, but he was suspended in the Bundesliga, so that obviously makes sense there. So I'll be retaining him. He's got that extra bit of freshness. Kim for Bayern seems like a lock there. Hakimi, obviously, just to the form and percentage. And then Gatti and Di Gregorio, because it's the first match of that first leg, I'm happy to basically go for them on day one. And if it goes wrong, get my alternative keeper and alternative defender to sub on the day after. Musiala, Bellingham, Dembele, Barcola, Pulisic. I'm actually going to get rid of Bellingham, and I'll come on to why. And you've got Kane, Haaland, and Girassi. Now, Haaland, he is at home. Form has improved, but then you look at the Champions League form as a whole in terms of double-digit hauls. Okay, he had one in the third match, also in the fifth match, but then it's not really been super loaded in terms of points for him. I know he's 38% owned. In some ways, I don't really want to go too much against the template. I will get attacking Man City cover, but it's not going to be Haaland. So the player that I've landed on, and I really hope that he is available because he wasn't available during the previous match, like I've outlined. Vinicius Jr., double-digit haul in match 3, and then before the suspension ahead of Brest in that match, he wasn't available. He had it against Atalanta and also the match after against Salzburg. Kind of feel with him, he is a Champions League type player. I did say on my previous video that I do want to have at least one attacking City asset, one attacking Real Madrid asset. So it's really a trade-off. Do I want Haaland and Bellingham, or do I want Vinicius Jr. and then attacking City cover elsewhere? And obviously, when it comes to attacking City cover elsewhere, there's literally only one other option that I'd consider, and it's Phil Foden. There he is, 9.2 million. Plenty of cash in the bank. Money is no object. Phil Foden had a very slow start to the Premier League, of course, in some ways recovering from the Euros. But oddly enough, in the Champions League, he had a really good start, getting lots of double-digit hauls and a healthy number of points, which kind of tailed off in the final 3 matches. So got Real Madrid, and I think he makes sense. If I'm going to get an attacking City asset that isn't Haaland, Phil Foden is the next best player. And on to that final goalkeeping slot. So for Atalanta, there he is. Patricio, formerly of Wolves in the Premier League. And yeah, £4 million. Of course, Karnaseki has been the go-to goalkeeper. He joined Atalanta as a backup goalkeeper during the summer after obviously a spell at Wolves and at Roma. So he's finally got his chance. So unlimited transfers. And it may very well be the case that Karnaseki could be back for leg 2, in which case I might potentially flip the keepers if needed because I've got 2 free transfers. So I've got £2 million in the bank with this combination. And I think I'm fairly set on that. So you've got 2 separate goalkeepers, obviously for different days. I've got 12th of February players. So it's a nice mix of dates as well. So let's just confirm those transfers. So just a final look one more time, like for like. Haaland out for Vinicius Jr. I think it is a very close call, but again, I'm looking at the upside, and it's not like I'm not getting any City cover. Bellingham, Foden, I think almost practically like for like there as well. And yeah, Karnaseki due to his injury out for Rui Patricio. So let's confirm that all now. And let's do famous super zoom in with this final draft ahead of the first leg in UCL Fantasy for the playoffs. So that's Kane, Girassi, and Vinicius Jr. up top, with Kane being the second captain if needed. They've got Musiala, Dembele, Foden, Barcola in midfield. Probably could have considered the option of having double PSG defence, but I just like the attacking upside for PSG, so happy with that. Gatti, Hakimi, Schlotterbeck in defence, hopefully safe as houses there. And then Di Gregorio as the goalkeeper. And yeah, like I've said, if Di Gregorio and Gatti concede, then got the likes of Hernandez, Patricio, Kim to come on, and of course Pulisic as well. So there you have it. That is my confirmed team for the next phase. Keen to hear your thoughts. Have I got the balance right? Have I got the balance wrong? Was that last tinker that I've done to get in Vinicius Jr. and Foden the correct move and getting rid of Haaland Bellingham? No doubt I'll be kicking myself if ultimately Haaland scores big against Real Madrid. It'll be an interesting match, no doubt. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think in terms of the balance. And as always, If you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. Take care and all the best.